Hello everyone, and welcome to what is essentially episode 0 of a new series, in which I explore nature in a much more dynamic and reflective way. Some of you will know that this channel began as a literature review channel, and over time it has gradually developed to be more encompassing of my outlook or worldview, encompassing not only literature but also love of nature and heritage and so forth. And I've had an idea for quite some time of exploring the Chiltern Hills, which is where I've lived since 2018. Some of you will know that I moved down from Scotland. I grew up in Scotland for about 19 or 20 years and moved down in 2013. And I've been lucky enough to live in various places since then. Moved around a lot. I've lived in, for example, the New Forest. The New Forest is internationally renowned for its rare heathland habitat and semi-natural ancient woodland, and many rivers and streams. I've lived near the Jurassic Coast, places like this. It was a change of scenery. We can definitely say that it was a change of scenery moving from Scotland to the very southern tip of England, around the kind of Portsmouth area. Over time, gradually, I've moved further up north, where I'm situated now, in this area here. And it's really a peculiar thing to find oneself situated, to feel oneself at home. I've moved around a lot and stayed in various places since moving down from Scotland to England, and I've never quite felt as rooted as I have now, living in the Chiltern Hills since 2018. And that is primarily because of this special sense I have of being between two worlds, as it were. Of course, you can't fundamentally separate nature from culture, and yet I can say that I am grateful. I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky to live between Oxford and the Chiltern Hills. Of course, Oxford, a place of great significance for its preservation of ancient or traditional architecture, old styles of architecture. It's one of the only cities in the UK that has retained its character. And of course, there was, for lovers of Tolkien, lovers of this channel, it is a place of great cultural significance. Tolkien worked in Oxford, so did many of the Inklings, C.S. Lewis, for example. I've been to places like the Eagle and Child pub, which was a favourite haunt of the Inklings. I've been to see Tolkien's grave, which some of you might have seen on Tolkien Memorised. It's Oxford. Oxford is one of the most idyllic cities that one can enter in the UK, I would say. And so there's a cultural side, if we can call it that, and there is the natural side of the Chiltern Hills. I'm lucky enough to be between Oxford and the Chiltern Hills. The Chiltern Hills feels very much like it shields me almost from London. I'm not entirely against cities. I don't take an anti-civilizational, solitary, fatuous, romantic approach when it comes to my critique of modernity. Enchantment and wonder can be found in even London. That's something that Patrick Curry would say. It's something that Lord Dunsany would say. Lord Dunsany constantly critiqued London, and yet it was always still a place. It was not just a space, a characterless space, but also it could be a place to be known. But to return to our subject, I am very grateful to live, extremely grateful to live between such a city as Oxford and such a place as, or a stretch of outstanding natural beauty as the Chiltern Hills. And that brings me on to this new series. This series is going to be fundamentally about gratitude, the subject of gratitude. Because of course, I have featured the Chiltern Hills in some sense, mostly always in the background. I of course record my videos out in the woods and hills of the Chilterns for my vlogs from the Thoughts from the Other Side series. That series, however, you don't really get a sense of place. I'm not actually exploring the Chilterns in a dynamic way. And I'm usually sitting down and just talking about a particular subject with trees behind me. There are certainly videos on this channel where you can see the Chilterns in a fuller way, but they are few and far between. And of course, I also have various videos on my channel in which I have explored country parks and nature reserves and sites of heritage across England, Ireland. I'm not sure if Wales has features on the channel, but certainly Scotland as well. Obviously my home country. And indeed, I'm just thinking that, of course, some viewers might have seen my fairly recent documentary on the southeast coast of Scotland. So there are those special videos in which I will often go out with my twin to these places of significance, and that is more along the lines of what I want to do in this new series. Some of you might be thinking, however, that, well, didn't The Other Side used to have a series around 2022 or 2023 in which the creator of the channel showcased the Chilterns in a much more dynamic way? And you would be correct. I used to have a series called Thither to Nature, in which I discussed particular topics and issues, whilst also at the same time showcasing my local area, my region, pointing out wildlife and providing information on said wildlife. For various reasons, I decided to quietly remove that series from the channel. It only had about 2 or 3 episodes. It intersected in ways that were difficult to manage with my regular vlogs, in which I sit down and talk about various topics. So what I want to do is kind of a blend of all of these different series, because there is Returning Truths as well, which is a series I've not done in quite a long time, and the Chiltern Hills has actually featured there as well. But this new series will actually be a blend of all of those different endeavours. And so I've thought about this for some time. How do I approach this series? And again, first of all, most fundamentally, I don't want to just be talking about any old subject. I actually want to try and focus my mind and reflect on gratitude in each episode, and I will talk more fluidly, and I will see what comes to mind as I walk. But I also want to do this more ritualistically as well. I want to explore places and almost acknowledge them one by one. And a way of doing this would actually be to visit all of these places here. I was pleased to see this. I hadn't actually encountered this map before, or until recently. All of the named, designated nature reserves in the Chilterns. And of course, it would be much more detailed than this. There are places I know that are fairly obscure. There are endless. Well, we'll get onto this. Obviously, the subject is gratitude. We will get on to just how much there is to see in the Chilterns. Off the top of my head, I mean, there's so many nooks and crannies, hills, overlooks, ridges, meadows, semi-natural ancient woodland, juniper-studded slopes, chalk downland, parkland. There are quarries, abandoned quarries that have now returned to nature. Just an incredible variety of places. There are many medieval churches as well. And so I'll be exploring all of these places, although I do think of, in my mind, I think of the Chilterns as just my general area and the places that I go to and visit frequently. So I might be exploring areas around here as well. But there's so much to see. And so I want to show you just briefly what the Chiltern Hills has to offer. Although just a quick point about technical matters. Suffice it to say, I don't approach my videos in a very rigorous way. I try to, although I'm not overly technical. I mostly record with my phone. However, some of you will have seen one particular video, one vlog, one Thoughts from the Other Side, in which I employed my GoPro. I want to revive my GoPro and use it properly for this series, so it will be much higher quality, more fluid, more dynamic. So hopefully it's a better experience overall. So I thought it would be nice to give some sense of the Chiltern Hills, in a nutshell, essentially, so you can see what to expect from this series. The Chilterns National Landscape is a landscape of remarkable beauty and character that possesses unique geological, ecological and cultural heritage features. One of 34 national landscapes in England and Wales, the Chilterns was designated in 1965 and extended in 1990 in recognition of its fine landscapes and unique features. The underlying chalk rock gives rise to a steep chalk escarpment and hillsides of velvety, flower-rich downland. Attractive villages with brick and flint cottages nestle in quiet valleys, while woodlands, commons and meadows are crisscrossed by ancient routes and peppered with historic hill forts and chalk figures. Water stored in the chalk emerges as springs that feed clear, sparkling chalk streams like the Chess and Misburn. As you can already tell just from that description, it really touches on so much that this channel respects and values. Quiet valleys, old routes, historic hill forts. Some lovely photos here. Much better than going to Wikipedia. Really gives you everything you need. And I thought it would be useful just to explore this page here. What is a national landscape? A national landscape, formerly an AONB. Now, some of you will know that I studied ecology, countryside management and ecology from officially roughly from 2014 to 2019. And then since moved on to literature and philosophy. So this is really my area, and indeed the national landscape designation is actually quite a new thing. I knew it as an area of outstanding natural beauty. The national landscape is a formal designation for an area of land that is of national importance for its natural beauty. National landscapes have the same level of landscape quality and the same level of protection as our national parks. Protection falls under the 1949 National Parks and Access to the Countryside Act and the Countryside Rights of Way Act 2000. I'm smiling because a lot of this brings back memories of sacks and spas and sinks and all manner of triple SIs and all manner of things. We will definitely be talking about how the land is perceived, how nature can be restored or diminished. But I'm not going to, in this series, I'm not going to get so much into ecology. It'll be my more personal feelings about gratitude for living in such a place. And I will try to, whenever possible, I'll try to draw on literary references and so forth. It's going to be much more personal to me rather than getting into the technical detail about each particular site that we visit. I will certainly try to feature that, but it won't be it won't play as big a part. It's fundamentally going to be about gratitude. The single purpose of National Landscape designation is to conserve and enhance the natural beauty of the area. What makes the Chilterns special? Panoramic views across a dramatic chalk escarpment, a globally rare landscape type interwoven with intimate valleys and rolling fields, ancient hedgerows, trees, orchards and parkland weaving across farmland. One of the most accessible protected landscapes in Europe, with relative tranquility, unspoilt countryside and dark skies on the doorstep of 10 million people. Nationally important concentrations of species-rich chalk grassland that is home to scarce and threatened species such as Chiltern gentian, wild candytuft, paskflower, silver-spotted skipper and glowworm. This is one of my favourite aspects of the Chilterns. Over half of the woodland is ancient, including the Chilterns beechwood sack, a special area of conservation. There are also significant box, juniper and beech yew woods, veteran trees and relict wood pasture. It's such an incredible strength of biodiversity here. And on the point of juniper, some of you will know that I was going to study decline of juniper populations for my bachelor's dissertation. I ended up studying carrion beetles instead. Chalk streams, a globally scarce habitat and home to some of the UK's most endangered species such as otter, water vole, reed bunting and brown trout. Moving on to more cultural matters now. A diverse archaeological landscape, ancient parish boundaries, medieval field patterns, Iron Age hill forts, and remnants of woodland heritage like sawpits and charcoal hearths. There's a lot to say there. Some of you will also know that a decision I had to make early on was whether I studied history or ecology, and I chose the latter. My first love was prehistory and ancient history. And indeed, there's so much I want to show in this series. It speaks of Iron Age hill forts, for example. There's Pulpit Hill Fort, which is one of my favourite places in the Chilterns. There's so many places of cultural significance. More than 2,000 hectares of common land, heaths and greens, rich in wildlife and cultural heritage. A network of 2,000 kilometres of rights of way, including 2 national trails, the Ridgeway and Thames Path, 2 regional routes, the Chiltern Way and the Chiltern Cycleway, and numerous ancient routes like the Icknield Way. Indeed, it is so well connected. There's just endless amounts of trails, and the Icknield Way is particularly fascinating. Very, very fascinating history, and the Ridgeway is a very long trail that goes on for miles upon miles upon miles. It's incredible. A rich industrial heritage of woodworking, quarrying, brickmaking and food production, with windmills and watercress beds. That image is reminding me that I used to do a lot of bushcraft, and I studied greenwood crafts as a unit on my diploma. Did wood carving as a hobby and things like this. Of course, many sessions of coppicing and woodland management and so forth. And finally, distinctive buildings. Made from local brick, flint and clay tiles, attractive villages and notable buildings including stately homes and monuments, and a wealth of medieval churches. It really is Tolkien country. It's cottages, ancient medieval churches. It's beyond idyllic. When it says medieval churches, I'm thinking of one of the great pilgrimages. I call it a pilgrimage that I undertake sometimes from Pulpit Hill Fort all the way to Ellsborough. And there's a church there that one can see when standing upon the highest hill in the area, and it is just incredible. So this first episode 0, was really just to give some context, some information for this new series. What I will try and do is I will pick one particular named nature reserve and visit it, and we'll just see where it goes. I want this to be more fluid. I will be talking about gratitude. I will be perhaps giving some thoughts about how to appreciate what one has if one doesn't have a place like the Chilterns. I have often spoken on the channel about a sadness that I have for other people that don't have such a wealth of cultural significance and natural biodiversity, surrounding them. So I want to talk about that. And I think we can expect the first episode in the not too distant future. It's warming up. Spring is returning. So until then, everyone, thanks for watching.